We've seen it before, except that this one, if you look at it, basically all the top officials drop at the same time significantly. This is not what we've seen in the past. In the past, you'll see a substantive change, decline in the approval rating of the president, but the other officials would not show the same drastic reduction. So this is, to me, as far as I can recall, this is a first where you have the top five officials declining substantively from survey to survey.
All right, this survey was conducted between September 10 and 14, Dr. Holmes, and we all know that prices, of course, have been going up a lot. The biggest decline, of course, was also in the biggest number of respondents that you surveyed, which is Class E, D and E. Is that, you think, the reason behind the disapproval?
Well, I would say that it's part of the reason, at least one of the reasons. We see this in terms of the developments that we noted in the media release. You have an increase in terms of headline inflation from August to September. But more than the increase from August to September, we've had substantive increases in terms of prices of basic commodities, more specifically rice. Before we did the survey, there was also a record of 9 weeks of continuous increases in terms of gasoline prices, and this would have an impact on all the other things that would basically be dependent on gasoline. So yeah, it's one of the factors, but of course, another factor that you can consider with respect to the president is that he has made a commitment in the past that the price of rice would be reduced to 20 pesos. But within this quarter, we saw that it was far from realized when the price ceiling that was set, or the controversial price ceiling that was set, was double what the promise of the president.
All right. But sorry, let me just actually point out a difference though. So to set the record straight, what Sean was talking about was 29 percentage point drop for President Marcos in that period for Class E, right? But
Yep.
for Vice President Sara Duterte, we're talking about a drop in the Class A, B, and C segment. So how do you explain that discrepancy?
Well, it's not so much a discrepancy. It's really something that we've seen also. This one we've seen in the past. You have a president that is to a certain extent, to a greater extent, being held accountable for some of the difficulties that people are having. We've had vice presidents in the past who had higher ratings, or where the changes in terms of the approval ratings are not as, the erosion is not as significant as that of the president. So we've had vice presidents with higher ratings than the president. You can cite, for example, Ella Estrada at the time of Fidel Ramos, Nolid de Castro with Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, and Jojo Binay with Noynoy Aquino. So it's not distinct. The vice president may be viewed more positively because the vice president's portfolio is definitely less than the portfolio that, or the responsibility that the president carries. There was a study that was done using data coming from another survey organization. This is the Social Weather Stations, and they found out that essentially the sense or the self-assessed quality of life of Filipinos, if it declines, definitely impacts their appreciation of the performance of top officials. So in that sense, my short answer to your question, we've had cases in the past based on our own survey when there's a economic difficulty, it definitely erodes the people's approval of the performance of the president. The last time this happened was under the immediate past president, Rodrigo Duterte. The first decline he suffered was in September 2018 when the same thing happened. The price of rice was really higher. It may have an impact in terms of how investors would react, no? But I think the greater impact here would be subsequently if government doesn't do anything in terms of resolving many of the issues that we're confronting right now. This is a snapshot of how people perceive or assess the performance of the administration. If we see the same decline in the next quarter, then that means that the administration, the people do not think that the administration has taken that much effort in terms of addressing their problems. And that's bad. More often than not, when you have a decline in terms of public appreciation of the performance of the president or the top officials, it may result to some form of instability, and that instability may also affect our economic growth or development for that matter.